Hello, senior disciples, and welcome back. Today we're getting into a really critical and, maybe a little uncomfortable topic from the 5 disciplines of life. In our last chat, our teacher asked us, has your temper actually changed? Has your capacity grown? Well, this time, we're going even deeper, looking at what might just be the greatest fear in cultivation: all talk and no action. That practice of false humility and just empty motions.
All right, let's just jump right in. I want you to imagine a scene, and I want you to be really honest with yourself about whether this sounds at all familiar. You're at the temple, maybe you're sharing the teachings, and you feel this incredible connection. You're so moved. Tears are literally streaming down your face. It feels so powerful, so real. But then you get home, and a family member makes one tiny little comment, and you just snap. All that peace, all that compassion you felt just an hour ago, it's gone. Poof, vanished in an instant. And that brings us right to the heart of the matter, the central question for today. Is our practice genuine, or is it just for show? Is it something we truly live, or just something we perform when the audience is right?
Our teacher, Jigong Living Buddha, gives us this incredibly profound warning. It's just 8 words, but this single sentence, it's the key that unlocks this whole chapter. It tells us that the real danger isn't just doing the wrong thing, it's doing the right thing with an empty heart or for all the wrong reasons. And that is exactly what we're going to unpack today.
So, to really get to the bottom of this, we're going to break our journey down into 5 parts. First up, we'll dive into this warning about the hollow heart. Then we'll look at what happens when karma finally comes knocking on the door of a fake practice. Third, we'll explore that dangerous trap of thinking you know better. Fourth, we're going to face the ultimate choice. Are we becoming saints or sinners? And finally, we'll lay out what the posture of genuine, authentic cultivation actually looks like.
So let's start right at the beginning with this foundational problem. What on earth does our teacher mean by a hollow heart? Because this is the very root of an empty, totally ineffective practice. Now, what's really important here is the distinction our teacher is making. A hollow heart isn't about feeling nervous or having some doubts. It's a deep inner emptiness. It's when you show up, you go through the motions, you do the work, but inside there's no real motivation, no genuine aspiration. It looks like cultivation from the outside, but the heart is hollow. And that's exactly when karma finds an open door. Now, a false intention is a little different, and maybe even sneakier. This is when you are acting, but for all these hidden reasons. Outwardly, you're saying, oh, I'm doing this for the Tao, for everyone. But inwardly, the real motor is your ego. You want to be seen, you want recognition, you want that round of applause. You're serving the Tao on the surface, but you're really serving yourself underneath. And when that intention is false, our teacher says, darkness enters.
This hollow practice can lead to a really dangerous kind of comfort. We start to think, hey, I'm in the Tao, I've got the grace of heaven and virtue of teachers, I'm good. And that's when our teacher asks this piercing question. How much longer will you hide under the teacher's protective umbrella? What a powerful image, right? We just assume our teacher will always be there to shield us from the storm of our own karma. But that umbrella isn't meant to be a permanent bunker. It's a temporary shelter while we build our own strength. When are we going to stand on our own 2 feet? When are we going to actually shoulder our heavenly responsibilities, hold on to that golden thread, and live out our vows? So ask yourself and be honest. If that umbrella was pulled away today, right now, would you be ready?
But here's the thing about that protective umbrella. It can't hide us forever. Sooner or later, the consequences of an empty practice show up, and they usually arrive with a name: karma.
This is one of the most sobering questions in the whole chapter. Karma, you see, keeps perfect accounts. It never loses a receipt. And practicing the Tao is our one real chance in this life to generate enough true merit to pay off our karmic debts. But if our practice is hollow, if it's all just surface work, what are we actually accomplishing? We're not shrinking that karmic debt. In fact, we might be making it worse, adding new karma of pride, of judgment, of being fake, all while patting ourselves on the back for being a cultivator. So when that karmic bill comes due, and believe me, it will, what are we going to have in our spiritual bank account to pay it with?
So, this is the big question. How do we know? How do we know if we're making true merit or just spinning our wheels? Well, our teacher gives us a crystal clear dividing line, a kind of litmus test for genuine practice. It's right here. Endure hardship to resolve hardship, and even when you feel wronged, never blame heaven or others. This is where the rubber meets the road. It's easy to be kind and patient when everything's going great. The real test of our cultivation is how we react when we're under pressure, especially when we feel like we've been treated unfairly.
And this just spells it out perfectly.
Let's really think about these 4. Number 1. You do something with the best of intentions and somebody totally misunderstands you and accuses you of the opposite. What's your first reaction? Do you complain? Number 2. You approach someone with warmth and sincerity and they just give you the cold shoulder. Do you complain? 3. There's a job at the temple that nobody wants. It's messy, it's difficult, and guess who gets assigned to it? You. Do you complain? And finally, number 4. You pour your heart and soul into something, working tirelessly behind the scenes, and crickets. Absolutely nobody notices. Nobody says thank you. Do you complain? Just take a second and ask yourself, of these 4, which one is the hardest for you? Which one gets you every time? That's your homework. That's where the real work begins.
Okay, so what happens if we fail that test of hardship? If we keep going with this hollow practice? Well, a really dangerous side effect starts to pop up. Our spiritual knowledge, which is supposed to make us humble, turns into a trap of arrogance.
Our teacher just nails this phenomenon. He says once our wings grow strong, we start to get self-righteous. You know how it goes. We've listened to a few lectures, we've read some books, and suddenly we think we've got it all figured out. We start looking around with these critical eyes. The transmission master, incompetent. The lecturers, just slick talkers, no real substance. The temple head, not stepping up to the plate. The staff, lazy. And all the other practitioners, they don't know anything. This attitude is absolute poison in a spiritual community. It's the ego dressing itself up in Tao clothes to feel superior, and it just wrecks everything.
And the consequence of this arrogance is just devastating. Our teacher hits us with this stunner. Completely disregarding the senior disciples around you is the same as completely disregarding the teacher in your heart. We think we can respect the immortals and Buddhas up in heaven while disrespecting the actual human beings right next to us. But our teacher says, nope, it doesn't work that way. Your disrespect for your peers is a direct mirror of your disrespect for the divine. This attitude makes you impossible to work with. You refuse to communicate, you refuse to cooperate. You shake the faith of others, and suddenly the person who knows the most truth becomes the hardest one to be around. That is the other face of all talk, no action.
And all of this leads us to the ultimate stakes of our practice. This whole genuine versus false thing, it isn't just about being a slightly better person, it's about our eternal destiny.
Our teacher puts the choice to us in these incredibly stark terms. Is our cultivation going to lead us to become sinners remembered across the ages, leaving behind a legacy of chaos and negativity? Or will we become saints for 10,000 generations, leaving behind an eternal legacy of virtue that will inspire people long after we're gone? See, this isn't just about one lifetime. This is about the ripple effect of our actions, forever. Now check this out. This concept of cultivate and sink for 10,000 is mind-blowing. How is that even possible? Well, our teacher explains it like this. Taking on heavenly responsibilities and receiving the grace of the Tao is like taking out a massive spiritual loan. If we use that loan properly, if we cultivate with a true heart, we can achieve completion in this one lifetime. The return on investment is infinite. But if we take that grace and we do nothing with it, if our practice is hollow, we don't just stay where we are. We go into spiritual bankruptcy. Our karmic debt becomes heavier than someone who never practiced at all. It's like borrowing a fortune and never paying it back. The interest just keeps compounding until we owe everything. This is why cultivation is not a hobby. It's a matter of spiritual life and death. Okay, so we've seen the dangers, right? The hollow heart, the karmic debt, the arrogance, the risk of sinking for 10,000 generations. It's pretty serious stuff. So what's the solution? How do we actually move from this false, empty practice towards something real and genuine?
And here's the beautiful, simple truth of it all. It comes down to a single thought. The difference isn't always what you do on the outside, it's the intention on the inside. Imagine 2 people walk into the temple to do the exact same job. From the outside, they look identical, but the first person's thought is, I hope the seniors see how hard I'm working. And the second person's thought is, I just want to offer my sincere heart to this task. That one tiny starting thought determines everything. It determines if the action is clearing karma or creating more of it. What the immortals and Buddhas want isn't a perfect version of us, they want an honest one. And as long as our heart is real, the path just gets lighter with every single step.
And so our teacher brings us right back to these 3 essential actions. This is the practical path forward. This is the how-to. First,
We have to stop hiding and start to properly shoulder our heavenly responsibilities. Take ownership. Second, we have to hold fast to the golden thread, that divine connection that guides us. And third, we have to actively, every day, work to fulfill the vows we made when we received the Tao. This is the antidote to a hollow practice. It's that simple and that profound.
Our teacher warns us the time is running out, that it's getting late, but he also leaves us with this incredible sense of hope. It doesn't matter how long we've been coasting or how hollow our practice might have been in the past. Time waits for no one, that's true, but as long as we can make this very moment, right now, completely real and sincere, well, isn't everything still possible? The choice is ours to make, right here, right now. Gratitude for the grace of heaven and virtue of teachers. Thank you, senior disciples. Until next time.